Hey everyone, this is Andy Baker again of Kingwood Strength and Conditioning. Um, did one of these impromptu video logs uh, several months ago, and everybody seemed to like it. Everybody seemed to like some of the information that was in it, so I had a couple of people ask me to do another one. So got a little bit of extra time here on a Friday afternoon, so I thought I would put together a short video for you guys. Based on one of the most frequently asked questions that I get on the programming forum, which is on the issue of straight leg deadlifts slash stiff leg deadlifts slash Romanian deadlifts. What is the difference between those lifts? Why would you want to use them? How to program them, etc. I'm going to look down here a couple times. I got some notes in my hands just so I make sure I hit everything. So if I look off screen, that's why. Basically, the difference between what we refer to as the stiff-legged deadlift and the Romanian deadlift really has to do with their start position. The stiff leg deadlift is going to start in the same position that a deadlift does, which is on the floor. So you're essentially going to be breaking the bar off of the floor from a dead stop and pulling it up to waist level. Just like you would a deadlift. You're just doing it with a very, very slight bend in the knees, as opposed, and it takes out a lot of the use of the quad. So I don't want to get too far into the mechanics of the lifts. You can look at some YouTube videos or something if you want to see exactly what they look like. But essentially, the stiff-legged deadlift will start at the floor and then be paused each and every rep, just like a correct deadlift set would be paused on the ground each and every rep. The Romanian deadlift technically starts from the hang position, so you would take it out of a rack somewhere around waist level, and then you would lower it down. I know the starting strength book says basically you lower it down to the extent that your flexibility will allow you to lower it without losing a good neutral spinal position. So for me, I have pretty good flexibility. I can basically stand on a platform and lower the bar down to the top of my feet and maintain a pretty good arch in my back. Others, maybe it's just below the knee. But essentially, the characteristics that define the Romanian deadlift is the starting position and in the hang, and then very important component of that is the use of the stretch reflex in the hamstring. So you're going to have a pronounced stretch reflex that's going to be utilized in the Romanian deadlift, which is not going to be utilized in the stiff leg deadlift. Okay. Why would you choose one over the other? I don't know. It would depend on the lifter and what their purpose for using it is. Primarily for my own training and for the people that I train, I don't train a lot of Olympic lifters or anything like that. So we're just looking to strengthen the deadlift. We're using it as an assistance movement to make the deadlift stronger. Primarily around here, we do the stiff-legged version. So we're starting with the weight on the floor and breaking it off the floor from a dead stop. And then depending on who I'm working with, we'll either come to a complete dead stop on the floor, or we will actually do kind of a hybrid stiff-legged deadlift, Romanian deadlift type lift, where we actually do break it off of the floor for the first rep, but then on the subsequent reps, so if you're doing a set of 5 reps, 2, 3, 4, and 5, maybe it's just a very light touch on the floor and then right back up, so you are actually using a little bit of stretch reflex. So it's actually kind of a hybrid lift. I actually don't stress about it too much. Whether you want to do Romanian deadlifts or stiff leg deadlifts, the purpose is just strengthen the hamstrings, glutes, and low back. Whichever version you like, whichever version is convenient for you, just pick one and stay with it is probably what I would tell you to do. And that may be based on what equipment you have available to you. Now, the one good thing about the RDL is that you utilizing the stretch reflex, you will be able to use more weight. I'm always pretty much a fan of using more weight where you can. More weight means more strength, more muscle. So that's a good thing. but maybe if you struggle on the deadlift, breaking the bar off the floor, you struggle at the bottom end of the movement, potentially the stiff leg deadlift might have some advantages for you. So play around with it. You alternate from one to the next, workout to workout, and spend a few months with each version, and pick your favorite and go from there. How far down to go? I've been asked that a couple times on the forum. I like to use these as a full range of motion as possible. So like I said, that's going to depend on your flexibility. You don't want to be doing heavy stiff-legged or Romanian deadlifts with a rounded back. And that's what will happen if you don't really have really good hamstring flexibility. You won't be able to maintain that lumbar control if you try to lower it down too far. No, I like the lift. I've always done them. I've always naturally had decent flexibility. So like I said, I can stand on a platform. Usually what I do is I stack 4 3/4 inch mats up, and that's what I stand on. So what is that? That's about a 3 inches, and I'll lower it down there, and essentially the bar is sitting right on the top of my foot at the bottom position, and that's good for me. I have other people that can't do that. But I think with this type of lift, using as an assistance lift, I like to take the muscle through the longest range of motion possible. So that would be my answer to you. Go as far down as you can go while maintaining proper mechanics. Okay, the programming side of it. Okay, if we want to experiment with this movement, why would we do it, and where would we put it into a program? Essentially, like I said before, the RDL, the stiff leg deadlift, is going to be used as an assistance movement to strengthen the deadlift primarily. Okay, so it's really probably shouldn't be utilized until you're in intermediate programming. A novice will be fine just doing the standard deadlift. But as when you get to the intermediate stage, you're gonna, from time to time, you're gonna get stuck on a certain lift, and you've got to figure out a way to get it unstuck. One of my favorite quotes was, I don't know where I read it, it was a long time ago, was from Bill Starr, and he basically said, if a lift is stuck, it's basically one of two things to unstick it. It either needs more work or it needs less work. It's really one of those two things. So kind of look at your own training and figure out what it is, and maybe maybe if your deadlift is stuck, maybe adding a couple of sets of some stiff leg deadlifts somewhere in your program, maybe that's the impetus to get it unstuck and get it moving again. Okay, so when we look at that equation, we're saying, do we want to do more work or less work? If you want to do more work, a lot of times it's as simple as just adding more volume with that primary lift. Okay, so maybe you need to deadlift more, maybe you need to squat more. It's just more frequency, more volume of the primary lift, or you can fill in that more work part of the equation by doing assistance exercises. A lot of assistance movements are useless. I feel like the stiff leg deadlift / Romanian deadlift is a good viable exercise that can work to get things moving again. So back to the programming, kind of where would we stick it into a program? I've seen people where they have asked, and I guess it's been recommended to where the stiff leg deadlift can kind of serve as a light deadlifting day. Okay, so let's say for those of you that have read practical programming and you're familiar with kind of the split routine model of, let's say Tuesday you have your heavy squat, light pulling day, and then Friday would be a light squat, heavy deadlift day. Okay. In that model, you could take the stiff leg deadlift and use that as your light pulling day, and then on your other day you would deadlift heavy. Okay, so let's say Tuesday we got stiff legs, Friday we got deadlifts. I've actually done that before in my own training, and it worked for a while. It works for a few weeks. I don't think that's a very good long-term solution. Most guys, when you start pulling, in the mid-4s, low 5s, I really don't think that most guys can recover from 2 slow pulling movements in the same week. In other words, like a deadlift, and then having another day where it's a stiff leg deadlift. Even though one is lighter than the other, that's a lot of grinding on the low back, and it just doesn't seem to be a very good long-term solution. If you're going to pull twice in a week, my recommendation is to do a slow pull one day and then one of the quick lifts on the other day. So in other words, power clean Tuesday, deadlift Friday, whatever. But two slow grinding pulling movements in the same week does not last very long. Okay, so if we're not really going to maybe stick with that one as a long-term solution, so what's another way to do it? You can do the stiff leg deadlift instead of the deadlift as part of like kind of a bi-weekly rotation. In other words, let's say maybe Tuesday is our light pulling day. We're going to power clean on that day. And then Friday is going to be our heavy pulling day. And one week we deadlift for a set of 5, and the next week we stiff leg deadlift for a set of 5. Okay, that gives you a little bit of a break from the heavy pulls every week, but it still allows you to put a tremendous amount of stress on the hamstrings, low back, and glutes with a little bit of lighter weight. Okay, does that make sense? So that's one way to do it, is the alternating version. My actual favorite version is using stiff leg deadlifts as a back off method. Okay, so if we look at that heavy light system again, so you've got your light pulling day on Tuesday, and again we might do something like snatch or power clean, and then on your heavy pulling day you would do a set of deadlifts for whatever rep range you want to use, a set of 1, a triple, a 5, whatever. And then immediately following that, we're going to strip some weight off the bar and pull your set of stiff legs. It's very convenient. It's efficient. You're already there on the deadlift platform. All you got to do is pull some plates off and go right into your next set. And me as a gym owner and as a personal trainer, I'm big on efficiency logistically in the gym. So if I can do everything there in one spot, I will do it. So anyway, that's just a little tip to kind of save a little time. Sets and reps. I think the sweet spot for stiff leg deadlifts is somewhere between 5 and 8. I've done them as low as 3. I didn't really like doing them that heavy. I didn't feel like I got a real good training effect. It's kind of like doing super heavy barbell rows. I don't know. I just didn't feel like I directed a whole lot of stress onto the muscle groups that I wanted to work in that instance. So I like 5 as my low end and about 8 as my top end. I've gone higher than that, sets of 10, sets of 12. And for me, anyways, maybe I need to get in a little better condition, use these rowers that are sitting here behind me or something. But I always felt like it was a battle more to catch my breath at 10 to 12 reps as it was, reaching really muscular failure. So I think, more than 8, it's more of a conditioning test. So I would keep your reps somewhere between 5 and 8. If one other note I did put on here, if you're going to use the model where, say, you on your light pulling day, you were going to stiff leg deadlift, and then later in the week you had a heavy pulling day and you were going to actually deadlift. If you do that, one of the things to take into consideration is you want to put as much space as possible between those two lifts. So I would probably do something like stiff leg for sets of 5 and then pull singles on my heavy deadlifts. Okay, as opposed to like doing 5s on both, just because the volume is going to get up there. I like to have, I'm big on having space in between those two, so the numbers aren't getting too close to each other. You can save your lower back a little bit doing it that way. So, anyways, I think that's all that I got. Have any questions? Hit me up on the forum. Hopefully somebody got something out of it. Not sure. Kind of felt like I was just rambling. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. All right, later.